So you're struggling to understand scales and modes, or probably not scales. Scales in general are a little bit easier to understand. Modes, though, usually seem to be a lot more complicated than they really are, okay? So if you're trying to learn modes at random, for example, just attack, like not knowing the difference between Phrygian and Locrian and Lydian and Mixolydian and all that stuff, if the Greek names are making it more complicated for you, trust me, you're not alone. It is a little bit weird since, in the English-speaking world that Greek names have to be what we have, but everything kind of just needs a name so we can refer back to that sound, okay? Don't get too hung up on that, but don't try to attack it at random either, okay? Basically, every scale has a certain number of notes in it, and therefore it has a certain number of modes, that same number of modes in it. So I'm going to make this really, really easy, okay? So first off, if you're trying to tackle this purely from text as well, stop. Please stop. Grab an instrument, because without being able to interact with the sound that you're trying to make, you're not going to be able to train your ear in any way. You're just doing it off of text with a bunch of really weird gobbledygook words that don't mean anything to you right now. So having names for sounds doesn't matter if you're not hearing the sounds. So grab your guitar. I'm going to be using the A minor scale, okay, on purpose, just for alphabetical simplicity, because it's the notes A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. No sharps, no flats. We're going to keep this really, really easy. When I play the A minor scale and focus on the note A, the emphasis is more on the A, and the rest of the scale sounds a certain way because of A, making it sound what we think of as minor. Minor is a mode. It sort of makes the whole scale sound sad or serious. If I play the same 7 notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but with the emphasis on C, it's going to sound major. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. That's major, C major. Same 7 notes, but the emphasis is on a different note, and it gives it a completely different character within that same kind of sound of that key, okay? We're in the same key, but we're basically giving it 2 completely different paint jobs because each note makes the rest of the scale sound a certain way, okay? You're not going to get this from a book, so just put your book away. We don't need that. You'll need it for the shapes to access the different configurations of the 7 notes, but really, you need drones. You need reference notes from your scale that you can play your scale over, okay? Kind of like when you play over the chords in a song or a backing track. It is a backing track. It's a special kind of backing track which really gets underemphasized, but there's a link on the screen where you can go to the ones that I'm using right now. I made these, so you can make your own. There's a bunch of other ones that I've made too, but here's the ones on the screen I'm using right now. These are the Ambient Drone number 1, okay, on the ShredMentor Bandcamp page. And this is just what I've been using for several years with my students to help them understand what it is they're actually dealing with when they're dealing with modes. So to illustrate what I just did with a reference note in the background, which kind of is what defines whether something's whatever mode it is or not, because just the scale by itself doesn't really tell you really. It tells you what key you're in. It doesn't really define the mode entirely. So I could play a note in the background like A, and when I play the A minor scale over A, the whole scale is going to sound minor no matter what note I actually start at in the A minor scale. I'm still just playing A, B, C, D, E, F, G. If I switch to a C, same exact stuff I was just playing there. Now it sounds major, it sounds happy. So major and minor are 2 different modes, okay? Now, there are 7 notes though, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, okay? We've only covered 1 and 3 basically, A and C. So if we play the same scale over the other 5 notes, we're gonna get 5 different other modes. They just don't have such catchy names like major and minor. Okay, so B, okay? The second mode from the minor perspective, that is, okay, is called Locrian. Okay, minor has a name and major has a name too. There are 7 Greek names. Aeolian is the same thing as minor. Okay, right after that, no matter what key you're in, is always going to be Locrian. That's going to be a whole step up from wherever Aeolian is, okay? In this case, it's from A to B. So B is Locrian, all right? And the whole scale is going to change character yet again. Okay, I'm playing B, or I'm playing over a B, but still, it'll be the B that happens in the A minor scale. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's a very unsettling sound because it doesn't have a major chord or a minor chord. It's actually based on a diminished chord in this case. And it gives it a very, very distinct, kind of unsettled, very not, like the least resolved sound available in the 7 modes. All right, then we have, that's your second mode called Locrian. The third mode is called Ionian, or major. That's what we call as major. And in fact, that's why we give them minor and major their own little nicknames. They're the most common ones because they sound the most complete when we land on those notes. So C, again, that's major, or Ionian. So that makes it sound happy. The third note, the third mode is Ionian or major. The fourth mode, from the minor perspective again, is called Dorian. Okay, that you hear this associated with blues a lot. This also has a minor chord available or associated to it. Okay, built on it. A, B, C, D is Dorian. Okay, from at least a minor perspective, D and Dorian are very easy to remember, just like A and Aeolian are easy to remember. So A minor is kind of a good place to start in terms of remembering your modes in the right order, the order that they happen in. And if you can memorize them in this key, you can memorize them in every key, but start with one key. Don't keep jumping around to every random key because you're just going to make it much harder than it needs to be. If I play the A minor scale, over a D note, it's going to be D Dorian. It's going to give the whole scale a slightly different kind of sound. From that note, it's going to sound kind of minor. Except the 6th is in a different place. This would be the note B, which makes it distinctly different from actually playing D minor. All right, so So it also resolves to a different place on the scale with each mode too. All right, that's Dorian, D Dorian. Next one is E, Phrygian. That's mode 5 of the minor scale. Phrygian. That's a really cool one. It's a very kind of exotic and kind of sound sort of Spanish or a little bit like Middle Eastern kind of sounding. It's a pretty cool sounding one, and it's almost kind of resolved sounding the way the minor and major are, just not quite as strong. But here's what the A minor scale sounds like over E. So each time, even though I'm still playing the A minor scale, it doesn't always sound like A is home base, okay? Because the note is the root note in the background. It's like a moving root note. Every note is sort of like a root note when that's the note playing in the background. That's a big part of modes, and again, you're not going to get that from a book, so put your book away. This is actually really the tool that you need. You need to be interacting with it. We got 2 more modes, okay? Because the next one is F Lydian. Okay, Lydian's really cool. It's kind of mysterious sounding. It's a little bit unsettled, but it's got this interesting kind of mysterious but innocent kind of sound. Okay, so I'll point out that area. Again, I'm just going to play the A minor scale, but over the F that's in that scale. So here's my root note, F. It's got a major third and a perfect fifth, but it has this sharp 4 here, because the way that B interacts with that makes it kind of a... Okay, so the emphasis on the F and its chord tones, the root, third, and fifth from F. So F, G, A, B, C. F, A, and C are the 3 chord tones for that particular mode. But the way the rest of the scale sounds within that context makes all the difference. So it's a very distinct place, just like the others, within this key, okay? So when you play over an F in the A minor scale, you get a very different sounding scale called Lydian. The final mode, from the minor perspective, would be G Mixolydian. And this is kind of very major sounding, but it's a little bit different because of where it sits in the scale. It's almost the same interval pattern as you would get from C, but instead of whole step, half step, whole step, half step, you actually have whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step. So you're just at a different place within the same series of interval patterns, but it gives you a very distinctly different sound. Again, A minor scale, but it's playing over the note G within that. So the big difference between this being G major and G Mixolydian is that it has an F natural. That is the root note here. The note right below it would normally be a half step below if it was major. But here it's actually, the 7 of the scale is actually a whole step down from the root. So okay, now playing it from G, but really it's just A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Third, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 3, 5 from that note of the scale still gives you a major sound, a major chord, but the rest of the scale is a very distinctly different sound, only because of that one note being different from what it would have been in the major scale. Okay, but that's what modes are. It's basically the way every note in your scale makes the whole scale sound. It's not just a bunch of scales from a different point. That's a very simplified way of looking at it, and it's not incorrect, but it's a little bit too limiting to be a complete understanding of modes. And so pick up your guitar and go to this link and play along to the 7 notes of the A minor scale using the A minor scale. Take note of how different notes from different backing notes sound more final, more resolved. They sound more locked into the music than it would have otherwise sounded if you just play A, C, or E, which are the 3 chord tones for the A minor chord, okay? That's 1, 3, and 5 from that counting point. So each note as a starting point is still an accurate way to think of your modes, but it's going to have to take a little bit more than that. You can't just understand it on paper. You need to use your ears, because these mode names are just, they're names for sounds. And if you're not actually hearing the sounds in an interactive way, you can't possibly expect to understand this in any kind of complete functional way. Okay, I'd love to know what your thoughts on this are. If you have any other questions, please post them in the comments on this. I would love to hear your feedback and see how else I can help you understand this. It doesn't have to be that hard, but unfortunately, it's such a scattered mess of vocabulary, it makes it very easy to get complicated really quick and to overcomplicate a not very complicated subject.